Listen, there was a time when you couldn't shut either of us up, remember? Remember, Frank? The Friday nights after we put the paper to bed, huh? Well, there wasn't much of a paper in those days. About 8 pages, maybe, when we could beg bars, steal the ads. It was our baby. We were going to unionize the whole world with it. We wrote every word ourselves. Well, we even took turns. We even took turns drawing the cartoons, remember? We sure weren't artists. And come Friday night, we used to stand over those linotypers like we had a combination of the Manchester Guardian and the New York Times.
And those were the days.
They were good days.
I bet.
Frank? Hey, come on, Frank. Say something, will you? Look. Come on, anything.
Please go. You're not helping.
Look, I don't get many chances to come through Chicago, fella.
Please. I said, please go.
Joan, listen, I'm no doctor, but he needs help.
Oh, you're most perceptive.
I mean psychiatric help.
Oh, do Catholics accept Freud now?
Is he getting any help, anything at all?
Well, group therapy now and then, a free clinic. The price is right.
That's not enough, Joan. He's so depressed now that he might... Look, will you just let me...
No. No, you won't do anything. Look, just go, will you? Nobody invited you here. Just passing through, you said. Well, go.
I wasn't passing through, Joan. I came back to Chicago for one reason. Just to see Frank, that's all.
Why? Why, last week, Frank tried to kill himself.
Insight. An exploration in depth of the spiritual conflicts of the 20th century. Insight.
Hello, I'm Father Kieser. Today's story concerns 2 generous, intelligent, hard-working men who can best be called humanists. I call a man a humanist when he believes in the uniqueness of the human person, in the power of human reason, in the dignity of each member of the human race. I call a man a humanist when his thoughts and actions are motivated by a deep feeling for the corporate solidarity of the human family. Historically, humanism is a product of the Judeo-Christian tradition. It was developed by men like Aquinas, Erasmus, Moore, Bellarmine, Locke, Jefferson, men whose vision of the world was God-centered. But these men's rights are inalienable because endowed by man's creator. His mind accurate because reflective of the divine mind. His freedom inviolable because man needs it to fulfill his destiny, which is to choose God. These men believed in the brotherhood of man because they first believed in the fatherhood of God. Their humanism was deeply rooted in their religious faith. During the last 200 years, however, some of the Western world's most respected minds rebelled against this tradition, and on the pretext of exalting reason, tried to tear humanism from its theological context and divorce it from all reference to God. For these men, religion is superstition. It alienates man from himself. Morality is oppressive, faith irrational, God the enemy of man. For them, man becomes his own ultimate end. The conflict between these 2 types of humanism has created the great crisis of the 20th century. It forms the backdrop of today's story. In the 30s and the Depression, met and became friends. They found themselves suddenly and passionately union officers and union organizers. Days they worked for the company. Nights they gave to the union at no salary. The place, New York City. The time, 1937.
Come on, finish it, will you? Nobody's asking for literature.
I got it, coming.
And so was a call from the printers we were due half an hour ago.
Well, let him wait.
Sure, a time and a half.
I said I got it. And it's poetry, friend, pure poetry.
Another encyclical. Whenever you call it poetry, it comes out Catholic tap. Look, all I'm asking for is a lousy 8-10-line editorial. With you, it's got to come out poetry or theology.
All right, someday I'll be the theologian you think I am, but only because you pushed me.
Keep typing, buddy boy, keep typing. Later, we'll talk about your sickness. If I say so myself, this is the best edition yet.
All right. Here's the egg in your beer.
Good boy. Come on. Those credit printers will be in the golden hours.
Hey, aren't you going to read it?
You said it was poetry, didn't you? Crap, my friend. Pure, unadulterated crap, and you know it. Religion's for busybodies, all religion. It's the business of looking out for the other guy. Now, why don't you mind your own business? Look out for number one. How do you really know what the other guy wants anyway? And what right you got to butt in?
Same way we got to print our paper and build a union. That makes us busybodies.
That's different. That's freedom. We're educating in freedom. I must be getting beer soaked. I don't usually give you openings to wiggle through. Chuck it. Chuck the whole lousy argument. You're okay, kid. You're almost there. To you. To the day the blinders come off. It'll happen.
I won't.
Doubt is not a very preferable state. But certainty is a ridiculous one. You know who said that? Voltaire.
I remain unimpressed. And Voltaire, no. About some things I'm damn certain, so are you.
Me? Certain about what?
Lots of things. Values, for one. Values in life. You got them. You believe in them. You fight for them.
But, listen.
No, but me, no buts now. You wouldn't be here now at 2 o'clock in the morning unless you're damn certain that unions are necessary, and so am I. Now, maybe we're certain for different reasons. But we're both good and certain.
Crap, sonny boy. Unadulterated crap. For all you know, I do what I do because it's fun. I like it. When my ego's involved, I get my jollies.
Crap. You care, Frank. You care about people. Now, come on, let's admit it. Just say it out loud. We both believe in man, don't we? I mean, in the dignity of man. That's why we're in this lousy, no-sleep, stay-up-all-night union fight. But there's one big difference between us.
Only one?
Only one. I know why man's important, and you don't.
Come on, the image of God stuff. You give me that again. Look, I know it. I don't buy it. I can't. I never will.
Never. And you're not as free as you think you are.
Me? Not free? Jimmy boy, I'm here because I want to be. You are under orders.
Orders? Whose orders?
The Pope's, your authoritarian church.
All right, Frank, I am in it because I'm a Catholic. Yes, that's true, but I'm not under orders. And nobody, I repeat, nobody tells me.
No? Who had me read a little labor encyclical called Rerum Novarum, written in 1892, wasn't it?
I did, so?
He wasn't ordering you, this Pope?
To do what, join a union? Frank, Pope Leo was speaking to all Catholics. Now, there happen to be Catholic capitalists like there are Catholic unionists. And there are Catholic employers the same as there's Catholic employees. And Leo was teaching. He was interpreting Catholic doctrines for both sides and telling them that...
Telling them, right? Ordering them.
No, teaching. I said teaching. It's a teaching church, Frank. And if you're smart, you'll listen. Catholics are people. Some fat, some thin. Some are smart. Some of them happen to be dumb. And how they react to what Leo says or any Pope says, it's...
Are you telling me the Pope never orders you directly?
Of course he does, but on matters of faith and morals. Only. And when he talks then, I damn well listen, I damn well obey.
You bet you do, Bob, cause comes the day.
That's right. Comes the day and we get judged. I get judged. You get judged. We all get it. That also the church teaches, and I happen to believe. But perfect justice, Frank. Divine justice, not man's.
It kills me. You really buy this jazz, don't you? All this mumbo-jumbo.
You're going to be buying pretty soon. You got to.
What, religion?
Yes, of one kind or another.
Oh, kid, you've had enough.
Frank, man, has got to have it. You can call it what you want. Philosophy or spying or religion. But he's got to have something to give himself to and something that's bigger and better than himself. All right, I've got God, my God. And right now you've got nothing.
Which is how I like it.
It is. Well, Frank, you're not going to be able to afford the luxury of your doubts and Voltaire much longer because Hitler and Mussolini are going to make up your mind for you. Now, I'm going to ask a favor of you, Frank. When you join the party, because I think that's where you're headed.
When I what?
When you join the Communist Party.
The Communist Party?
That's what I said.
Oh, you're not drunk, Jimmy boy. You're nuts. I don't take orders from anybody. Popes bug me, son. Both kinds. Spiritual and political.
Okay. I should have said if you join, all right? And if you join, I want you to tell me, will you? I know you're not supposed to tell when it happens, but I want to know. I think I got a right. You know, we worked together, we joined this. We started the whole union together. So I think I got a right to know. So as far as secrecy is concerned, you have...
Relax, kid. Look, when I join, if I join, cross my heart, 3 fingers up like in the Boy Scouts, you got yourself a promise. You, I tell. Scouts on.
6 months later in Chicago, it was Memorial Day, May 30th, 1937. For capital as well as for labor, it was a day truly memorial.
Where the hell have you been?
Now, there's a greeting.
I mean all day. You were supposed to chair a grievance committee meeting at 2 hours. 2 hours ago, you know.
Yeah, I was, wasn't I?
So?
I blew it. I was busy.
You were that busy.
That busy.
What was it, your birthday or
That's
something?
right. Say it, somebody, will you?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Here's some greetings for you that came out of Chicago. You seen it?
Yeah, I saw it. Little head knocking among friends.
A little head knocking. 4 people killed, 84 hurt, tear gas, cops with clubs, and you call it a little head knocking.
So all's fair in love and war.
All's what?
Come on, boy. You're spoiling my birthday. Drink up your beer. Salute, Mike. You shouldn't get so exercised, Jimmy boy. After all, the capitalist system needs only a little balancing. 4 dead, 84 injured. What's a few bloody bodies if the scales are in trim now? Nothing's really wrong with the capitalistic system. Isn't that what your church says? Well, why should a few murders bug you?
Well, I'm finished here. Anything else you want me to do?
Oh, just go on home, get some sleep, Mike. We'll lock up.
You 2 guys ought to get some sleep for a change.
We will. Good night, Mike.
Right.
Oh, Mike, thanks for the help. All the help.
Don't mention it. You know, as I get older, I find I like work.
It's fun, isn't it, the way it breaks up the day?
All right, Frank. You blow a meeting. That's okay. But you don't even call. That's not okay. I've been waiting here to hear from you since 8 o'clock this morning. I had to press Mike into service. It's a holiday, you know. Nobody showed up. And like me, Mike's only got 2 hands.
You're fired, both you lousy cripples.
I don't give me any cheap jokes. I don't want to hear any of your lying excuses about this being your birthday either.
Now, wait a second, buddy boy. It is my birthday. My brand new birthday. I joined the Communist Party today. You said tell you when it happened. You're officially told.
That's where you were all day, huh?
That's where I was. It's quite a ceremony. You called it, remember?
Does this have anything to do with it?
Maybe. Actually, I've been noodling around the decision a couple of months now. Like you said, it was inevitable. Guy's got to live for something. You've got your religion. Now, I got mine.
Frank was not alone in his decision. In the late 1930s, he had company, impressive company. In Europe, men like Kessler, Malraux, Ignazio Saloni. In America, Richard Wright, Whittaker Chambers, Louis Boudin's. All became communists or fellow travelers. These men weren't bomb-tossing maniacs. They weren't traitors to their own countries. Most of them were intelligent, idealistic men steeped in the tradition of secular humanism. Why did they join the Communist Party? They joined, I think, because their narrow, man-centered humanism had failed them. It told them that man was sufficient unto himself, that he needed nothing outside himself to perfect himself. These men believed in man's own innate rationality, his intrinsic perfectibility, and his natural goodness. But what was rational or good in Mussolini's brutal attack on Ethiopia? Or brother murdering brother in the Spanish Civil War? Or Hitler swallowing up countries and peoples? What was good about thousands of people selling apples on street corners in New York City? Or millions of men out of work in the United States? And so many of the world's secular humanists joined the Communist Party. It seemed to them the only solution to the desperate problem of a world gone mad.
Far be it from me at this late date
to start educating my good friend, the esteemed chairman of our executive board, on the facts of life and politics. I'm stupid enough to think he's been reading the newspapers. Can anybody miss those headlines? I think they mention Spain now and again, and Hitler and Mussolini, and what's been going on over there. A little book burning, a riot or two, and now and again, a little pogrom, just for fun. Let's torture us a few Jews. If my friend, the president of this union and the chairman of its executive board, for one instant thinks there's a distinction or separation of any kind whatsoever, philosophical, political, moral, ethical, between our lousy little union fight here and the worldwide fight against international fascism, and I tell this board, he doesn't belong in that chair. Now, we've all talked long enough. There's a motion before this board, duly seconded, that we donate $1,000 from this union's treasury to the International Fund to fight world fascism. I move the question.
Joe, get the hell out.
All right, you want to vote, we'll vote. But first, I want to say this. Nobody, I repeat, nobody, is going to take my opposition to this motion and twist it into a defense of Nazism or fascism. Now, this board meets every Wednesday night. For the last 4 or 5 months, like it or not, our time's been wasted by motions that have nothing to do with the basic reasons why most of us here started this union. Sure, there's a fight in Europe. I'd have to be a deaf, dumb, and blind idiot not to know it. I feel it in my guts. But we've got a fight here, too. And right now, we're sweating out a National Labor Relations Board decision. Until we get that decision, our fight is to stay alive as a union. But I tell you, we're dying. Right now, we're dying. Every Wednesday night, we're dying of slow strangulation. And why? Because the people who once really cared about this union have recently had a change of heart or a point of view or politics or whatever you want to call it. And so this executive board doesn't meet to decide union matters on Wednesday nights anymore. It meets to choke to death on pre-digested international resolutions and petitions and motions. You name them, they got them.
Who's they?
Who are they? I'll tell you who they are. They're the Communist Party of America. Now, before we meet, they meet. That's right. On Monday nights, they caucus over on 16th Street, and they plot what they'll do on Wednesday to wreck our meetings. Well, now the question's been called, I'm ready for a vote. But just so long as we know what we're voting for and why, and where the motion comes from.
My first and last board meeting. I didn't know what the wrangling was all about, and was even less interested. I'd joined the union because a lot of the advertising department had been suddenly laid off. And then I found myself as suddenly on the board because they needed a woman, they said, to attract other women to join the union. I wasn't much of a success. I didn't attract a single member. I couldn't even attract Frank then. But if I didn't attract him, he attracted me. On the few dates Frank and I had, Frank seldom spoke of Jim. I guess I just took it for granted they were mortal enemies, and probably always had been. Then a year or so later, early in 1939, the National Labor Relations Board finally ordered an election to certify whether our union would be the collective bargaining agency. Well, 3 months later, we got the surprise of our lives. We lost the election. A brand new, unsullied independent union that had gotten itself on the ballot barely a few weeks before swept into easy victory. I had dinner with Frank the night the NLRB announced the results of that vote. And oddly enough, he was happy, elated almost. That night, he spoke plenty of Jim Guthrie.
Because he's an idiot. Biggest naive idiot of them all.
Jim Guthrie? Why?
Because win, lose, or draw, he's going on fighting. Jim Guthrie's going to keep his precious union alive because it's a good union, a clean union, an honest union.
Well, it is, or was, a good union, a clean union.
Baby, I tell you this because with your shiny nose, there's hope for you. I don't tell it to the world full of middle-class Mahoneys, the do-gooders, the love-thy-neighbor Jim Guthries. They're going to have to learn it the hard way, and they will. Now, lesson 1. There's no such thing as a good union, an honest union. They all stink.
What? Frank, you're...
Lesson 2. You don't redress the grievances of an entrenched capitalist system with a Wagner Act, an NLRB, a few lousy unions sprinkled here and there, when certain entrenched bums own the country.
What bums?
The banks, girl. And the bankers. Wall Street, who else? They own it all, every bit. They own you, they own me, they even own Jim Guthrie. But Being the idiot he is, he can't admit it. But we admit it, you and I. We know they own the world, don't we? Come here, shiny one. I got news for you. They ain't gonna own it long. We've got friends. A few million of us awake now all over the world are working on a little scheme to take it away from them. All of it. You believe it?
I believe it if you say it.
Okay. That's your first lesson in Marxist socialism. You want to go on with the course? You marry the teacher.
In communism, Frank has found the complete philosophy of life, an absolute ideology to which he can commit all his life's energies. This Frank needs, and this the party gives him. Frank is now convinced that communism is a solution to all the world's problems. It has the blueprint for the construction of a veritable heaven upon earth. There's just one big problem. The party lacks the power to implement the blueprint. What's the solution to the problem? Seize power by any available means. If these means should be immoral, if they should be inhuman, if they should involve deception or violence or treason, it doesn't matter. There's only one thing that does matter: the acquisition of power. To obtain it, anything becomes moral. This is the tragic paradox of the humanist turned communist. In the name of the working man, the party asks him to destroy a working man's union. In the name of mankind, he is asked to undermine man's dignity. In the name of humanity, he's asked to be inhuman. A tree can be judged by its fruit. The fruit of communism is human degradation. Communism is the very antithesis of humanism. It is inhuman, it is anti-human. Sometimes the humanist turned communist can close his eyes to the inhuman practices of the party. But sometimes this is not easy. It wasn't easy on August 23rd, 1939, when Stalin signed his infamous non-aggression pact with Adolf Hitler.
He's right. Stalin knows what he's doing. Marx told us, Lenin told us. Sometimes the train of history takes a sharp turn. There'll be those who'll fall off.
Not you, Frank.
Not me, kid.
Even though Hitler might invade Poland any minute, Stalin gave him the green.
This is a non-aggression pact they signed, buddy boy. You can read, can't you? Non-aggression.
It wasn't non-aggression on September 1st, 1939. It was all-out war. Blitzkrieg, they called it. It didn't take long to occupy Warsaw. The Germans did the fighting. The Russians took half the spoil.
So far as Frank was concerned, it was the same old imperialist war all over again. He and I were really on the outs now. He'd pulled out all his party friends out of the Union and joined the victorious independent Union. They were in there to destroy that Union as they tried to destroy us and so many others. Teach the American people that unions are no good. Only communism can save their problems. And then a year or more later, Frank's phony imperialist war turned suddenly and bitterly real. That was on June 22nd, 1941, when Hitler, pact or no pact, invaded Russia. There was no more quibbling between Frank and me. We were all in it now, up to our ears, all but Frank Burbage. The FBI had him marked as two previous anti-fascists. Well, they had a few other counts against him, too. Once he'd even heroically dumped a bottle of acid into the works of a small New Jersey manufacturing company. A small company that the party told him was a leader amongst capitalist war profiteers. Now, Frank tried, but he couldn't even get into the army. He couldn't make it in union work either. He'd done too many ideological twists and turns, and the unions, all the unions, were really putting out for the war effort. Nobody wanted Frank's kind around anymore.
We moved to Chicago then, just to get away. Oh, Frank fought. Fought for himself, I guess. For what he said he still believed in. But inside the party then, and the party line itself, it was all so crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, did he work at all at anything?
Like what? I worked, still doing have to. Oh, he drove a cab for a while. Mostly began to write again for those little leftist magazines. Occasionally get steamed up enough about something to get an angry letter off to you.
No, I got them. I'm in England and France, Everywhere while I was still in uniform, and even after the war. When I got back into union work and Frank couldn't, I'd still get his monthly piece of vituperation. Came as regular as like the light bill. He was still in there fighting. Fighting for his religion.
I think that's the key to it.
What?
What you said. It was a religion with Frank. Truly a religion, a way of life. That's why he stayed with it and helped me stay with it all those crazy years when everybody else gave it up, grew away from it, but not Frank. It took the Hungarian thing to finish it for Frank. I'll never forget the look on his face when he watched the TV news. Khrushchev's tanks gunning all those helpless people. Some of them were boys. That's when his depression started. A week at first. 2 weeks. He's never really been himself since. I've seen him sit in this room, in that chair, weeks, months at a time, just staring at books, at me, into space. And then this terrible thing last week. I kept holding on to him and screaming till the neighbors burst through the door. Well, like everyone else, Frank had to have a religion. And now he's lost it. And when he lost that, what do you have left to hang on to? So he tried to jump out the window.
Frank Burridge is a tragic character. His man-centered humanism has disintegrated before the strains and pressures of his difficult situation. Jim's situation has not been unlike Frank's, yet he did not abandon his humanism, nor did his humanism abandon him. What is the difference? The difference is the theological basis of Jim's humanism. It is rooted in God. It is founded on a hard, cold, historical fact. God thought enough of human nature to take one himself. God so loved men that he sent his only begotten Son into the world, that those who believe in him might have eternal life. Christ's mere presence among us is the ultimate sign of God's regard for all that's human. This regard extends to each and every member of the human race. Christ teaches us to look upon all men as his brothers. He tells us that even a cup of cold water given to the least of his brothers will not go without its reward. Jim Guthrie knows from experience what Frank has yet to learn. To follow Christ is to achieve one's manhood. To give oneself to Christ is to perfect one's humanity. To surrender oneself to Christ is to equip oneself to love all men in him. In God we find the true humanism. In the ultimate analysis, in God we find the only humanism.
Insight is a production of the Paulist Fathers, a group of Catholic priests who serve their God by serving those outside their church.